Hello, my name is Marwa Raha. I'm an Egyptian Montessori educator living in Egypt. I'm calling upon all Montessori educators everywhere in the world, all over the globe, to speak up. This is our time as peacemakers. This is our time as educators. This is our time as people who teach and preach every day in our classrooms, conflict resolution, peace. We have the peace rose. We have peace books. We talk about cosmic education and the interconnectedness of the world, how our waters are interconnected, how our air is interconnected, how everything about us is interconnected. The animals, the plants, the human beings, all organisms, living and non living, dead and alive, are interconnected. This is our time to speak up. Dr. Maria Montessori, she spent the last years of her life talking about peace. She said that politicians would try to keep us out of war, but to maintain peace, to have peace, to create peace, it is the role of education and educators. I urge you to speak. I urge you to talk about peace. I urge you to help people resolve conflict, to start from the beginning. It is very important now and today for us to show what Montessori is truly about. Montessori is never and has never been about wooden toys or materials or equipment or steps or a work mat. Montessori has always been a deep philosophy about saving humanity through peace and education. Our role at one time was to educate children about the importance of peace. In our classrooms, we do not encourage competitiveness. We do not encourage winners. We do not encourage who's first. We encourage cooperation, collaboration. We encourage sincerity. We encourage being genuine. And it's about time for every one of us, no matter where we are located, to let the world know that we exist, to let the world know our message, to give us the opportunity to help, because we know how to help. We understand how to help. We've been trained on how to help. I have studied with the North American Montessori Center for almost 10 years. I'm certified from birth until the age of 12. Cosmic education and peace has never been just a manual for me. It has been a way of living. It has been something that I've embraced. I taught my son, and I taught so many mothers and parents. And I'm sure you did the same in your classrooms and in your schools. I know you have. But it's time for us to speak up. It's time for us to show the world the way to peace. Please take the time and speak about peace. We were taught that conflict resolution starts by listening to one another, by apologizing sincerely for the wrongs that have been done. I am Egyptian. I'm almost 50 years old, and the Palestinian struggle has been a part of my childhood, a part of my adolescence, and a part of my adulthood. There were so many times at school when I stood for 1 minute among my classroom for a minute of silence to mourn the children who were killed and died. I have grown up hearing, seeing, and reading about Gaza under siege. Today, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to the beginning that people the age of my son, children the age of my son, do not know. My son is 12. He doesn't know how it started. I wasn't there when it started. I had to ask the elders in my family how it started. In the beginning, there was a land more than 9,000 years before Christ. There were people living. They were farmers. They planted olive trees. They went fishing and they had lives. Let me show you something from my Montessori shelf on Palestine. Imagine the land years ago, so many years. There were people, they were alive, they had a life, they had a culture, they had a language, they had customs and traditions, they had art, they had music, they had embroidery, they had crafts, they had a life. Over the years, Palestine's role in the Middle East, its position, its strategic position, has grown to be noticed. Then colonization started. Colonization is the same everywhere in the world. You find a spot that is beneficial for your trade. You find a spot that is beneficial for your economy, whether they have gold or they have diamonds or they have oil or whatever it is that they have. You find a spot and you decide that you want that spot. You decide that that spot belongs to you. This has been the exact same story, even the story of the Americas when it first started. America was a British colony. When we go back in history, colonization has been the same. You go over a place, you take away the land, you kill the indigenous people, you call them barbarians and savage. Isn't this what happened in Canada? Isn't this what happened in the US? Isn't this what happened in Australia? Isn't this what happened in Africa? It's exactly the same. Let's get rid of the savages and the barbarians and let's build civilization. It has always been the same claim. Over the years, peacemakers have realized how colonization has been unfair and unjust and brutal towards the original culture, towards the indigenous people. And many amends and apologies have been made. Peacemakers have been trying to correct the wrong. Peacemakers have been trying to erase the brutal effects of colonization. This is what we need. The story of Palestine is another story of colonization. The English had no right to give a land that wasn't theirs to the Israelis. The French, before the English, had no right to promise the Jews, if they helped them, a place in a land that is not theirs. No one had the right to sell Palestinian land to another entity for whatever reason, because that land was never for sale. It was all politics that got us today where we are. It was all colonization that got us today where we are. And it's time to remember how this all started and how the indigenous people have been struggling for so many years. Let me show you more items from my Montessori shelf. This is the hand of an old woman who once lived in Palestine. And this is the key to her house that was taken from her. And that is her beautiful embroidery and culture, because they are human beings who have a culture.
This is Masjid Ubbat al-Sakhra, and it is Palestinian.
This is Al-Aqsa. It is Palestinian. As a peacemaker, I realize that it is important to open historical places for everyone in the world to visit, to pray, to worship, to do whatever they want. Just like in Egypt, our monuments are open for everyone to come and visit and see, but no one has the right to come and live. No one has the right to come and kick me out of my home, out of my place, out of my city. No one has the right to claim that something that is not theirs belongs to them. There was a time when Palestinian women lived happy, in peace, enjoying nature, and their children grew up amidst olive trees and the sea and the river and beautiful nature. Generation after generation, children have been growing up in destruction, utter destruction, bombs, armored vehicle, siege, power cuts, no water, no electricity, no facilities, no right to exist in the world. That is totally unjust and unfair. This was part of my childhood. This is the symbol of a Palestinian child. And the only way to fight armory was by throwing stones. What he has behind his back is a stone, and that's it. That's an old man, and that old man has been forced to leave his house, to leave his village, and his back and his shoulders are burdened with pain and grief of what he had to leave behind. That's the Palestinian cause, for those who do not understand how it started. They are people who make art. They are people who have a culture. They are people who deserve to live. When you see the Palestinian scarf, do not think of terrorists. Think of symbolism. Think of what it represents. They have no way of making themselves heard except using symbolism. These are olive branches. They represent a part of their culture, a part of their land. They represent resilience, and they represent the peace that they have been missing for so many years. These are the fishermen's nets because they are amazing fishermen. And these are the trade routes that connect many parts of Asia, that connect Asia and Africa, that connect a huge part of the world. They were merchants. They were important. They were alive. They had contributions. They are only defending their culture. They are only defending their land. They are only saying, we were colonized and we are asking for our freedom. If this peace is going to find its way to Palestine, if this peace is going to find its way to our world, it has to start with the acknowledgement of what actually happened, the acknowledgement of what happened back in 1917. Let me see. It's all over Wikipedia. You just need to understand. You just need to read about it. You just need to know the beginning. What happened in the beginning? This is a case of colonization, not terrorism. Palestinians are like a bullied child at a school where the management does not have an anti-bullying system or policy or rules. Bullies are being rewarded. Bullies are being encouraged. Bullies know they can get away with it. Bullies know they have fans and they have supporters. What do you think the bullied can do? It is only natural that after a lot of symbolism and a lot of art and a lot of strifes and a lot of silent demonstrations, it is only natural that they would start speaking up, screaming. It is only natural that they would be the bully and the anti-bully. And both are forces that will not result into peace. This world needs to adopt an anti-bullying policy. Let's go back and see who started the bullying. Let's go back and see whose land that is. Let's go back and see how this whole thing started. And maybe it is time for a sincere apology, because the people who started all of this are dead. They died a very long time ago. They died and they left the world on fire. They left a huge sense of injustice burdening us. They left, and here we are today, trying to breathe, because this does not only impact the Middle East, it does not only impact Palestine, it does not only impact Israel, it impacts the whole world. We are interconnected. Our energies are interconnected. The bloodshed in one part of the world is going to affect the energy all over the world. It is so hard to breathe. It is so hard to wake up in the morning. It is so hard to be productive, knowing that there is so much pain and struggle going on right next door to me. It is hard. It is hard to stand in a Montessori classroom. It is hard to stand in a course to the mothers who follow me and try to learn from me. It is hard to preach cosmic education and peace and conflict resolution when this is what I wake up to every day. I've tried to avoid it, but it's in the air. It is everywhere around us. And it is time for us peacemakers to do something about it. Palestinians deserve a sincere apology. Palestinians deserve amends. Palestinians deserve a place, a fair place, their place on the map. They deserve to have their country and their name and their flag given back its rightful position. They deserve to be able to build their own civilization. They deserve a chance to protect their culture, their norms, their art, their crafts, their songs, their folklore. They have a chance to live. And that is what we are about. This is what peace is about. And it starts with acknowledging their pain, acknowledging all the injustice that has been done to them. Please do not start from today. Do not start from what happened on the 7th of October. Go back, read, learn about the beginning of all of this. Go back and read and learn about the reasons for all of this. It was all political. It was all about trade routes. It was all about using and abusing a certain place on the world map that would facilitate trade, that would facilitate occupying another land. This was how it started. It was politics, colonization, occupation. It was never about religion. Muslims, Christians, and Jews have always survived and lived together in this part of the world. It was never about religion. It is about money. It is about trade. It is about merchandise. It is about political forces. And this is why today Palestinians deserve to be heard. Their pain deserves to be acknowledged. The whole world needs to know why they are so angry, why they made their own army to protect them, to protect their land. I am not for war. I am totally against war, totally against weapons, totally against killing on whatever side it is. I'm against that. I am a peacemaker. But when no one is listening, when no one is trying to understand why these people are so angry, why they are so much in pain, why they are hurting, when no one is trying to understand that, what else do they have? What else do they have? They have been living under inhumane conditions for so many years. 50 years, I can testify to that. And many, many years before. This is not right. I am urging peacemakers around the world to speak up. I'm urging Montessori people around the world to speak up. This is our time. This is our time to hold the peace rose and protest against injustice and to protest against inhumanity, to protest against murder and politics ruining our world. We are interconnected. And what happens in Palestine is in all of us. It is affecting all of us. Please speak up.